Okay, let's talk about actually getting the vaccine then. And your experience. What did it feel like after you got the vaccine? Like right after you got it, a day after, 2 days after, 3 days after? How'd you feel?
I mean, honestly, everyone has their own experience after the vaccination. The most common side effect of people, and we're talking 80+%, get a sore arm, and that happened to me. So that the day of, or shortly thereafter, and it was sore that night, and maybe the next day. Um, but I actually didn't have very many side effects or symptoms following. um, I do remember going sledding because it was in the winter when I got mine. I went sledding the next day. And so I think my back hurt more from the sledding than and rolling down the icy hill than actually getting the vaccine. But I felt fine. But I do know that aside from the sore arm, people do feel some fatigue often, so some tiredness, and then oftentimes people can get some muscle achiness, some joint stiffness, sometimes headache, sometimes a fever, um, and and those things do tend to go away within a day or three, at the most.
How about does the vaccine interact with any other medications that somebody might already be on or any other conditions that somebody might already have?
Well, that's a fairly kind of nuanced question or answer, I would say. Generally, no, it does not interact with any medication that you would be on. The caution would be if you are on a medicine or take a medicine for a condition and the medicine suppresses the immune system in some way, um, then you would want to discuss like timing of the vaccination and potential decreased effectiveness of the vaccine if you're on a medication that would decrease your immune system's ability to kind of to form the protection that you need. So it has to kind of jump into action once you are given the vaccination. So if your immune system is unable to jump as high as someone else's, um, because of the medication you're on, you may want to discuss that with whoever your provider may be to see if there may be another plan for you in terms of the normal vaccination strategy. Um, and that would, generally that would be kind of what we would think of in terms of kind of medication interactions. But there is, nothing um, of those typical medications that people are generally on that the vaccine does not interact with any of those.
How about is there anything I can do to prepare to take the vaccine? Like you know, take some Tylenol beforehand, or maybe some Benadryl or an EpiPen.
I think what the only thing people really need to do to prepare is take a breath and put on your favorite short sleeve shirt so that we have easy access to your upper arm. And but there's no need to take any Tylenol or ibuprofen or naproxen or bring an EpiPen with you, um, unless you're a person that just gets tons of allergic reactions. But we always have EpiPens and Benadryl and all those things to help if there is an immediate allergic reaction to something. But there is no requirement for you to bring anything, to take anything ahead of time. Now, if after getting vaccinated, your arm gets sore, get a headache, your muscles get stiff, or joints get achy, then Tylenol is what we recommend to take after you're vaccinated. But if you don't feel like you need that, then you don't have to take it. But Tylenol has been found to be the most effective medication, or acetaminophen is the other name for it, to help in reducing symptoms that you may get after being vaccinated.
Yeah, that's really good to know. I don't think I knew that about Tylenol when I had my vaccine, to be honest. Um, okay, so this next question may be a little controversial, but after you get the vaccine, do you need to keep wearing a mask? Social distancing.
Yes. not too controversial for me, but the the you're not considered to be fully immune or fully immune until 2 weeks after you've been vaccinated. So you'd still want to kind of maintain the masking practices, the distancing practices that you've been doing up until that point. And then once you get to the 2 week mark after that second dose of your vaccination, if you do Pfizer or Moderna, or 2 weeks after if you've done the Johnson and Johnson, 4 weeks after with the Johnson and Johnson, the then you can then follow the rules of where you are in the community. Because if you've been paying attention in the news, different kind of mask mandates are changing, and recommendations are changing based on kind of what community you live in, where you're going. At NorthPoint, we do require masking if you visit us. So depending on where you are and the rules of that place, you would need to follow those rules. But the CDC has changed its recommendation here recently with regard to masking. I'm in full support of that increased protection with the mask.
How long will the effects of the vaccine last? And will we have to get a booster shot at some point or another vaccine?
Excellent questions that are answers are being actively sought, but we have no idea. Just as this vaccine didn't exist before 2020, so it has not been in use for longer than a year at the moment, so we don't know exactly how long the efficacy of it will last. There are some thoughts that it will last for years. There's a possibility that it doesn't last that long, but we just don't know. And even though the companies are developing booster shots, there's no evidence that we have at this moment today that a booster shot is necessary. The current thinking is that if you received any of the 3 approved vaccines that we have in this country, so the Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson and Johnson, that you do not require a booster shot at this time.